What's up, everybody? This is Shabazz with the proper perspective coming to you live from Miami Beach, Florida, but you can't tell by the background, so it don't really matter. This is let me see, what am I going to talk about? I just wanted to jump on here because I just watched this video from a black woman who was talking about the difficulties and the challenges of coming back to America. Yeah, back to America. So you got several groups of expats, digital nomads, people who either for financial reasons, for peace and tranquility reasons, or just basic curiosity, they say, I'm ditching America and I'm going to live outside the country. My hats off to you. Shout out to you. I am one of those. I am aspiring to be one of those. My journey has been a little stalled in that regard, but yes, I have lived to some extent outside of the country. Now, the way she was talking, I believe she was a person who's lived outside the country for several years. So her comeback is probably way more extreme than mine. I've lived outside the country for about 2 months max at any one given time. But what struck me about the video is that discussing the challenges of coming back, people always think it's so much better in America that it's easy to come back. And people always think, well, this is your home. I'm just here to say, look, it's very real that when you come back, you're going to have problems. I've known people who have lived outside the country for a year plus. I've known people who lived outside the country for 6 months. And like I said, I've been in less than that myself. I think the maximum I spent outside the country with the intention of being or of living abroad was 2 months. And in so doing, because your mindset is different. If you leave the country with the intention of just being on vacation, your planning is different, your mindset is different, your intention is different. The activities that you partake in before leaving and while you're abroad are all different. When you are leaving the country to live abroad with the intention of I ain't coming back here or I ain't coming back for a minute. And so that's really what I'm speaking of. People will be, wherever you choose to go. I would hope you choose a place that's not a war zone. That's a whole different other category. If you trying to move abroad and you want to be right in the thick of the Gaza exchange, hats off to you. This ain't what I'm talking about. But anyhow, so I lived in Ghana for 2 months. And yeah, no matter where you go, you have to be aware. You have to go with the mindset of there's going to be culture shocks. Now, if you're committed to the idea of leaving or living abroad or whatever, then you don't let the culture shocks run you back to the country. But if you do, I mean, that's on you. I'm not putting you down if that's what you do. Curiosity, learning. At least you did something. At least you traveled. At least you went out there. If you truly love it here in America, hats off to you. I don't know what to say about that. But what I'm saying is, those of us in the digital nomad environment, whether you're solidly in it or just adjacent, those of us who do really try to live or try to move abroad, and for whatever reason, I believe most times it's out of necessity than anything else, but I ain't ran those research studies, so I can't prove that. So you're coming back. Coming back ain't easy. Coming back is very difficult and very challenging. And a lot of people be like, but it's your home. What's so wrong with America? I even had one person say, how are you going to disrespect your ancestors by leaving the country that we built? I really don't have time for this ignorance. If you on your bloodline and your lineage, if you've spoken to your ancestors and they've told you they don't want you to leave, much respect, then do you. Under that same type of scenario, school of thought, ideology, my ancestors told me, if you can, my brother, if you can, my son, if you can, my great, 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 great grandson, get out of this country. So I'm going to follow suit. But anywho, the idea, when you do come back, it's not going to be easy. You will be just as challenged coming back to America as you are leaving America and trying to refamiliarize yourself, not refamiliarize yourself, ameliorate yourself to a new culture. Because I stayed out the country for 2 months, and coming back, I experienced depression. I experienced shock, not culture shock, because I knew what the country was, but there's just new sensations and new layers and levels of shock, of uncomfortableness. When you're outside of this country, you quickly forget about the live wire racism that's just charged in the environment. You really will feel like, now, if you've ever gone on vacation outside of this country, you might know what I'm talking about. I had brothers. First time I recognized it, it was a vacation trip to Jamaica, and I've had other brothers that I know have talked to me, and they was like, they were never really recognized it until they were literally outside of the country on vacation, and they're like motorcycles, and they're like, yeah, there's something different about not being here. So when you come back, the hazards of doing lives. So when you come back, you will experience, like the video that I saw, because that person was outside of the country for a good number of years. There, they truly experienced culture shock. Sticker price shock. Like when they left, everything was cheaper. For me, because I only spent 2 months out, I didn't notice that much of a sticker price shock. I didn't notice that much of, a political shock, because everything was already ripe with racism under Donald Trump, anyhow. But anywho, there is definitely some things that you will experience. You will experience spiritual uncomfortableness, physical uncomfortableness, mental uncomfortableness when you come back to this country. To me, it's a sign, it's a signal that shows you ain't supposed to be over here. Now, if you come back and all you ever feel by coming back is joy and relief and anything on the positive spectrum, then maybe that's a sign you should be over here. Being a nomad or being an expat ain't for everybody. But that's all. Like, I'm gonna say that's all I wanted to say. But the last point I'm gonna make is this: the 2 months I spent outside, I felt a newfound sense of peace and tranquility. Coming back was very difficult, and so it reminded me, or it made me think of this: what did our ancestors feel when they were violently ripped from their homeland? When they were violently, forcibly chained and thrown into the dungeons on the ships and brought over here? And I say that to say, like, if we can voluntarily leave and voluntarily return and feel all types of negative energy, that's a volunteer move. So whatever small percentage that is, it's extensively multiplied by an exponent of 10 when you consider what our ancestors went through. So I just wanted to say that if you're listening, if you're tuning in, tell me where you're listening from, what state, what country. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is Shabazz with the proper perspective, and I will see you in the comments.